I got a Daisy feeling. I got a Daisy feeling.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back. I'm ACHARA KIRK, joined by ANDREA ZAMORA.
Hi, guys.
And we are checking out this informative video today. It's called Inside Luxury's Secret India Supply Chain. This is from Bloomberg Originals. This was recommended to me as an interesting kind of like newsy video, so we're gonna check it out. I see Beyonce in the frame. I'm very happy. So anyway, you guys, if you enjoy this content, please subscribe, click the bell icon, all notifications, and upvote this video. Let's jump into it. Here we go.
Yeah.
There's not a single luxury house that does not produce in India.
Okay.
We've recently had Beyonce in her tours wearing a few of our outfits.
Wow.
High quality, exclusive, and European. The hallmarks of the 180 billion euro luxury fashion industry. But unknown to many consumers is a closely guarded secret. Countries like India are often at the heart of what's considered European luxury fashion.
Wow.
For decades, luxury fashion houses obscured their business ties to developing nations like India or Vietnam, where labor is cheap and hard to find handicraft skills plentiful.
Wow.
Even if you produce in Europe, at the end, the manufacturing, the reality of that business is done in India.
Fashion executives have long seen labels saying made in France or made in Italy
Yeah.
as key to higher profits. They worry about Western consumer stereotypes that question quality. There's also the optics of sourcing goods from places where working conditions can be poor.
Oh, this breaks my heart.
Wow.
That's increasingly contested by those fighting for transparency in how luxury fashion credits its suppliers.
I feel like they should like be upfront with what is going on. Just because something has the tag that says like, oh, this is made in France or it's made in Italy or something, or they always say like made in our atelier in Paris, you know, and it's like, okay, but was it really? If they had some artisans working on it from other countries, then they ought to credit them as well. And
They ought to do a lot.
yeah, they really ought to. And then also, if, you know, I don't know the whole ethics and everything about it, but also they charge so much money for these things. I don't know if you've ever heard of, okay, because I grew up in Thailand. So we have a lot of like really dodgy things. And so sometimes my mom would go shopping and she'd be like, I want to see the grade A fakes. And you can get these like really super high quality, you can't even tell that they are knockoff designer bags because they are made from the same manufacturers that actually make them. So instead of like dropping $3,000 on a bag, I mean, you might spend $300 or something.
No, yeah, the same thing with Nike shoes.
Yeah. Like it doesn't have to be that expensive.
Yeah. No, it's absurd.
It's
and you're
crazy.
paying for the name and for the tag.
Exactly. Anyway, let's find out.
Yeah, let's get more depressed.
Yeah. Let's find out how much money we're losing.
India's contribution to luxury fashion spans empires.
Oh, Dior?
The nation's embroiderers were traditionally mostly Muslim men who had migrated to Mumbai from rural parts of the country. They're known by the Urdu word karigar, or artisan.
Embroidery has always been the distinction between the elite, the royal court, and the different layers of society. Even if the creation is done in Paris, even if we have ateliers in Paris doing embroidery, or in Italy, or in England, India has really become the backbone of the embroidery industry.
From the 1980s, luxury brands have relied on India for much of their embroidery.
Wow.
Today, there are two kinds of textile facilities. First, export houses in safe, well-ventilated facilities. Second, subcontractors in small factories.
Oh, is this one of those subcontractors?
We're sitting in a small factory in central Mumbai that has completed subcontracted orders for some of the most established international designers.
Wow.
When order volumes are large, Indian embroidery export houses take orders to subcontractors throughout the city. Sometimes they work with as many as a dozen subcontractors for a single order. This is the bottom of the supply chain, and the working conditions are often the worst.
Look at this.
Sometimes artisans, to save on rent, sleep on the factory floor after they've completed their work for the day.
And how are
India
these?
is now one of the world's largest garment exporters, with the textiles and apparel market worth more than $150 billion in 2021. But the country's connection to Western luxury brands remained secret for years.
Wow, I didn't even know.
Me neither.
We've forgotten the past. We've forgotten the excellence of craft. The big question, in fact, is to know why these luxury brands are so hesitant in putting Made India on these products when they should be, by law, putting it Made in
Yeah, they
India.
should. Because it's a brown country, probably.
Yeah. Well, it's because of the prestige, right?
Right. That
the
as
global
well.
fashion system is built on exploitation.
Wow. Tell it.
It's not coincidence, but by design, that most of fashion today is produced in regions where freedom of association is restricted, where it's difficult for workers to exert their rights. So when it comes to obscuring supply chains, there's a myth that being transparent is commercially sensitive, that it would harm business to be transparent and disclose who and where your clothes are made. Improved transparency is absolutely essential to protecting the people who make our clothes, who are often some of the most vulnerable people in global supply chains.
Our investigation looked at one jacket as a case study. The garment, embellished entirely with delicate micro mirrors, retails for almost 43,000 euros.
Whoa.
And according to exporters in
makes me
Mumbai,
sick.
it took more than 2,000 hours to embroider in India. Seamstresses estimated the piece then underwent less than 100 hours of stitching and finishing touches in Europe. It carries a Made in France tag, reflecting European Union regulations that define the country of origin as the place where the last substantial transformation took place, not where the bulk of labor was completed. A Dior spokesperson told Bloomberg that even though the mirror coat is an exceptional piece that showcases India's savoir-faire, nevertheless, it was made in France, which justifies the dedicated Made in label.
Wow.
Still, in March 2023, Dior became one of the first international luxury brands to showcase a collection in India, saying it's determined to
it was a
promote the
huge
country's
deal.
artisanal legacy worldwide. Chanakya International, the Indian export house that embroidered clothing for the Dior Mumbai collection, declined to comment.
What we are very happy about and elated about is that actually Dior took a first step to announce its supplier. We were all kept hidden for a long time.
Dang. Like, it's like
It has changed
You're a
the
dirty
way the
little
others
secret.
are thinking, putting us more forward for recognition of our work and our embroidery and our craftsmanship, which earlier they wanted to show maybe that it was done in Paris or Italy. Now they are happy and to say that this embroidery is done in India.
India's growing importance across industries has made the world's most populous nation impossible to ignore. One recipient of this attention is Gayatri Khanna. Her company Malaya Embroideries has climbed atop the ranks of Mumbai's highest profile export houses. She counts Versace, Balmain, and Dolce & Gabbana as just some of her clients.
wow.
I hope she charges.
450 employee business. We are in the center, in the heart of Mumbai. We have over 150 odd clients, which are amazing, and we cherish all our collaborations.
Wow. So much bling.
When you talk about Made in India,
Goodness.
you tend to celebrate craft, which is coming from India. At the same time, you're also celebrating the people who are making it. I think it is also all about how to dream together.
For many in the industry, the Made in India garment tag is paving the way for a younger, progressive wing of creatives
How do you sit in that?
who want more fairness and transparency in how luxury fashion credits its suppliers.
Yeah.
So today I feel that things are slightly changing, slowly changing, because they cannot lie anymore. They
Yeah.
have to acknowledge that since the last 30 years, they've been manufacturing in the country, manufacturing in India.
Okay. So we're ending on like a bit of a positive note.
Right.
I guess I was kind of hoping that there would be a little bit more, but
Right.
I'm pleased that, now people are kind of starting to come out in the open, because it feels unfair to kind of diminish the work of the people who put so many hours and so much labor into the beautiful garment that they end up selling. And it's like, because I always thought, because I've seen those things before, where they say like, oh, made in Paris or like made in Milan or whatever. And it's like, I just assumed that when they said that it was made in the atelier, that it is that,
Right.
I imagined these like little French ladies or whatever sewing things by hand and sewing the embroidery themselves, and I feel gypped, honestly.
Right. Well, you
I
know
feel
why
lied
you thought
to.
that, right? Because you tell the truth. That's why. And we can get into a much deeper dive into that.
Yeah.
Same thing with people, I believe people. I give people the benefit of the doubt because
Sure.
I'm honest.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's really, it shows. That's why they say, everyone's a mirror to a certain degree, right?
I guess so. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that, at least Dior is kind of being a little bit more open about it, but I would love to just kind of see India receive the recognition that it deserves for all of the, great art and work
Right.
that's being put out there. And so that, because I think, well, because there's like two different sides to the coin, right? Because there is like that kind of fast fashion, which when you hear made in India, made in Vietnam, made in Bangladesh or whatever, you immediately assume that it might be, like a lower quality item, like a fast fashion item. And so when you hear like made in India, but it's in relation to a luxury fashion house, you're kind of like, oh. Like maybe initially you kind of go, oh, that's not what I expected. I expected to be paying all this money for something that's being made in like a European country, not something that's being made in a developing country. But I feel like with more exposure, it'll come to be associated with more luxury and glamour. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's just because we're not kind of used to that right now out there in the world.
Well, yeah, everybody likes the glitz and the glam and the rose-colored lenses. And if, everybody knows things are sourced typically from these countries. And now it's just being captured because we have phones and cameras. And I hope that all of these people that are working tirelessly are not just getting the credit, but the money.
And the money.
That they deserve. I mean, that makes me sick to know that these people are sitting on the floors of these factories, probably can't feed their families the food that they even deserve, while these luxury brands that are paying them pennies are living in,
Yeah.
5-story.
It seems absurd to me in a way that coat, 43,000 euro, that's a lot.
Oh,
But it would be great if they could take some of that money and like pay it to the artisans who are actually making the fabrics and all of that stuff that they're actually using in their products. But I feel like that's a whole other issue, because it would come down to whoever is the owner of that factory.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I guess it's down to the company to kind of do the research and do the due diligence in order to find out if the factory, the manufacturer that they're working with is actually treating their workers well. But then again, a lot of factories also outsource to these smaller companies. And so I feel like a lot of due diligence, a lot of research has to be done to make sure that everything is kind of above board and everybody is being treated fairly.
right.
But that's a whole other conversation,
Yeah.
guys. Anyway, this was really interesting. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And we will see you next time. I'm ACHARA KIRK. This is
Andrea Zamora.
Ciao.
Bye, guys.